Great. Hello, Sheila. How are you?
Yeah, great. Thank you. Nice to be with you today.
Nice to be with you too. And thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to interview you.
Not a problem at all. Not a problem. I always like to talk to people.
Yes, thank you. So, friends, we have Sheila here. She is a UK-based clinical hypnotherapist. Her mission is to educate, motivate, help, and inspire other practitioners to achieve more than they thought possible. Most known for the virtual gastric band weight loss protocol, which is the theme of today's interview today, that has helped thousands of hypnosis practitioners across the globe launch and grow their practices. Sheila has taken hypnosis into almost all walks of life, from working with the homeless through to hospitals, schools, and businesses. She was the IMDHA Hypnotist of the Year in 2019, and her own business won the National UK Business of the Year in 2021. She's also a not one, multi
Not one.
best-selling author on Amazon. Sheila constantly tests the boundaries of what is possible with hypnosis and a hypnosis business, and has enabled others to help over 140,000 clients with hypnosis. That's amazing. She's ego-free with a big dollop of can-do attitude. So let's know more about Sheila from her own words. So Sheila, how did you get into hypnosis, Sheila?
I think probably like a lot of hypnosis practitioners, I
Mhm.
wasn't at school thinking one day when I grow up, I want to be a hypnotist. We all kind of fall upon this profession. So my background, I worked for the government for 22 years. Um,
Okay.
Actually, as a fraud investigator of all things.
Cool.
Uh, and I did that for 22 years. Probably a great people watching kind of thing, But I saw a hypnosis training course and I had an interest in how people think. What is it that makes people tick? We all can be a little bit fascinated by, how the brain works and why we do what we do and how all this fits together. And I went on this hypnosis training course, and in all honesty, I didn't intend to do anything with it.
Okay. Okay.
I
That's
was
interesting.
just a bit like a librarian, really. I'm just going to learn this stuff. But then I started working with a few people, and you notice the difference it makes to somebody's life. And when people say to you, you've changed my life, then there's nothing more that's any more rewarding. And all the money somebody can pay you or anything else. It's about that moment, that moment. And that drive just kind of took over to do more and more of it. And so, of course, I, eventually abandoned the day job and I built a practice. I was in a doctor's office for 6 years, and I was seeing between 35 and 50 people a week in, week out.
Okay. Oh my God.
I wouldn't recommend that as a business model to anybody. But and then I see so many opportunities for hypnosis, and I always think if you take the word hypnosis away from it, because that's the scary bit, isn't it? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, what is this thing? But if we take that word away from it and we just look at it in terms of how people think, then that means that we can take hypnosis into lots of different areas. I remember when I know we're going to talk about the gastric band, but I remember when I first went into schools and colleges with hypnosis, and it was predominantly around exam stress. The time a child's life when they're first faced with the pressure, the spotlight effect of an exam. And so I just offered to do some strategies with them. But the head teacher said to me, "Oh, you're not going to hypnotise the kids, are you? Oh, no, we can't have you hypnotised. Oh, no, we can't have the children being hypnotised. Oh, no." And I said, "Oh, no, 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 we won't do that. what I'll do is I'll just use some relaxation and mind management techniques with them. And it's like, oh, yes, you can do that. You can do that. So I think sometimes the language around hypnosis as well, people think it's really different to everyday life, and it isn't. And like when I'm working with a client or explaining it before I'm going to do the session, I say something like, when I do this session today, you will probably have a little chatterbox in your head.
Okay.
And it will probably say, oh, I'm hypnotised. I'm hypnotised now. I don't know if it's working. Well, I hope it's working because I really want this to work and I really want to become slimmer. And I say, and nobody can turn that chatterbox off. The only way I could do that is to pop you in my cellar and drip water on you for a number of days. So we're into brainwashing. And I said, but unfortunately, the cellar's full at the moment, and I've got a waiting list for that, so we have to do this instead. Because everybody will have that chatterbox in their head.
Yes.
And there's so many misconceptions or preconceptions about what it actually is and what it isn't.
Yes.
So we've always got to overcome that with people, and sometimes that is about the language that we're using to describe what it is that we're doing.
True.
I don't sell hypnosis ever. I always say I'm not even here to prove hypnosis even exists, really. I'm just here to get somebody to where they want to be. And however that comes about, it doesn't really matter.
Yes.
It's and there's just so many different areas that we can work in. I see too many opportunities. I need hypnosis to keep a focus on the right thing, as opposed to, I could just go and do that. Oh, there's an opportunity there. I could go and have a go there. And I always, will always have a go. I am not the font of all knowledge at all, but I will always have a go, because the worst that's going to happen is nothing will happen. So, be it, helping a sales team improve their, get rid of the subconscious blocks to selling, or working in a school, or, helping the homeless with confidence issues. What is the worst that's going to happen in those scenarios? Nothing. I'm not going to make the situation worse.
Yes. That's a beautiful way of explaining what hypnosis is. Thank you, Sheila. Thank you for sharing your experience. So, Sheila, out of various applications of hypnosis, okay, before I go there, what happened? Tell me a little bit of prehistory of like what were the circumstances that led you to, or what inspired you to develop this virtual gastric band weight loss protocol?
Okay, so what we're going to think to start with. I'm sorry, I'm sending my email off. Stop it dinging in the background. Should have done that to start with. So when I first started with hypnosis, my father-in-law at the time used to send me newspaper cuttings of hypnosis in the news.
Okay.
And one particular Saturday morning, he gave me this article, and it was actually about a couple in Spain called the Shirans, Shirrans, I think. And this article talked about them, the concept of a gastric mind band to help people lose weight. And they were inviting people to their clinic. They're in Spain. And they were inviting people to the clinic, and it said they were getting people to imagine surgery, that they were getting really good results from it. And in all honesty, I read that article and I thought, what a load of rubbish. That will never work for anybody. But at the time, 80% of my clients were coming for weight loss.
Okay.
And, sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't have much of an impact. I didn't really have a real grip on it at that time. And, I kind of pondered this article that I'd read. And I thought, what the heck? I'm going to put that concept to a little bit of a trial myself and just see what happens. Now, I had no idea what they did with people in Spain, how they did it. You know, I just kind of used the concept and developed my own stuff around that. And I went out and asked for 25 volunteers, nobody paying me any money at all, no money involved. I also, and I was going to see them as a group. So generally as a group, it's a bit more generalised. It's not as tailored as you can get things when you're working one-on-one with somebody. And I put on what I describe as my big girl's pants, and I invited the media along to independently verify any results that I got. The worrying thing was that the media, they printed an article to say this trial was taking place.
Oh,
And I thought, oh my goodness,
that's
oh my
good.
goodness,
Yeah.
what if this doesn't work? You know, I'll have no business on Monday morning, you know. But then I did think about it logically, and that they probably wouldn't print an article about no results, because why would that be newsworthy to anybody? So I saw them all as a group, and after the first session, one lady said to me, you know, I have spent 45 years of my life thinking about food all of the time, and I'm not thinking about it anymore. You know,
Wow.
she said, what has happened there? And I saw them all over a 4-session, you know, it's a 4-session program, and I'll explain in a minute why it's necessary to do that. But 23 out of 25 had positive results.
Wow.
There was a couple of ladies who were actually due to have proper gastric surgery, and they cancelled that surgery on the results that they experienced in those few weeks.
That's interesting.
Now that group wasn't followed in the long term, so I can't sit here today and say, oh yeah, the results lasted for X amount of period, or that was just me really playing around with that concept to begin with. And as a result of that, you know, I was on the BBC News. It was a double-page spread in my paper. It was being played as a news item on the radio, you know. And at that time, I was very naive to how much attention that amount of press gives you, really. You know, how many calls and inquiries that you get from that kind of thing happening. But so I was based in a doctor's office. So the doctor came to me and said, you know, I've got 10 patients who cannot have gastric surgery anymore. It was down to the funding side of things. And so he said, you know, would you do another little bit of a trial with these people? And so I was game to give something a go. So I said, yeah, okay then. Yeah, okay then, we'll do that. And I saw them all as a group, and it was in the doctor's waiting room. But if I'm honest, it was a little bit of a nightmare, the first session. So, you know, everybody's nice and relaxed and talked into hypnosis and nice and quiet. And there was a lady at the front who had this big coughing fit. Now, generally that wouldn't have been too much of a problem, but she got up and she kind of pushed her way through everybody else to go to the bathroom, which was just at the back of the room. She went into the bathroom, everybody's nice and quiet, listening to the hypnosis music, you know. And then this lady was in the bathroom. She had a big wee. All the sounds around you will be of no interest, you know. She had a little bit of wind, so, you know, went on as well. Oh, all the sounds will just make you go deeper and deeper. And then when she came back out of the bathroom, instead I thought, oh, she'll sit on the side. But no, she pushed her way through everybody, disturbing everybody else to sit back at the front again. And I'm thinking, no, this is going to have ruined my results. But anyway, I did catch that lady up on a one-to-one, and she actually did the best out of all the group. But again, 9 out of 10 had positive results. 9 out of 10.
Wow.
So that was my first bit of playing around with it, really. And what I actually believe is happening with the virtual gastric band is, it isn't about making somebody think they've had surgery. If we as a hypnotist was just to do imaginary surgery and just leave it at that, then our success rate would be quite low. Because, everybody's different. So some clients, if you do that aspect of it with them, that will be the thing that really makes a massive difference. And, as I say, everybody experiences it differently. Some clients will form no conscious connection to that whatsoever, but they are eating less. So the goal is not to make somebody think they've had surgery. Now, the PR spin is always, hypnotist convinces person they've got gastric band, and I think, well, I haven't. They know they've not got one. They've been sitting in your room all the time or over Zoom, and there's no pain or discomfort involved. So what part of them can possibly think that they've got one? The theory of course, our mind doesn't understand what's real and what's pretend, so it gets somebody to imagine and it can act as though it's real. But really what we're doing is focusing somebody metaphorically, what's my stomach telling me as opposed to my head or my eyes. So we're getting somebody to respond to what their body is telling them, the instinctual signals that we all get but predominantly ignore. How many times do we're not even hungry? We eat when we're already full. We eat for emotions. All the different associations that we've got now about food, have kind of clouded the foundations of eating. So if we can get somebody to tune back in to what their body is telling them, we're starting to put the right foundations back in place again.
Makes sense.
But say everybody experiences it differently. So, there are times when it kind of goes to the extreme. So I remember one gentleman that I worked with, and his name was Malcolm, and he was really quiet, and he told me, now we work in pounds and stones in the UK. I don't know what you work in, but
kilograms mostly.
Oh, your kilograms. Okay. So, I'm not very good at the conversion, but this gentleman told me he was 20 stone when he first came, and we did the first session, and he came back the following week, and I said to him, "Oh, how have you been?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, I'm all right." I said, "Do you feel like you're eating less?" He said, "Eating less? I'm not eating anything." And I saw you drinking plenty of water, because we encourage, people to drink plenty of water. And he said, "I'm drinking so much water, I can't keep out of the bathroom." So, and I said, just out incidentally, I said, have you been on the scales? And he said, "Oh, yeah, I've lost a stone." So he was 20 stone, he'd lost 1 stone in 1 week.
Wow.
Now, he really wasn't eating enough. So instead of reinforcing the session then, I said, you will find that over the next week, you will eat a little bit more. And so I said, "I'm not going to do anything today." And he said, "Well, don't you leave it too long before you see me again." He said, "Because I've only got 19 more weeks to go." He thought he'd just carry on a stone, 20 weeks, poof, disappeared. Disappeared dead, So, it's not actually going to take somebody below what they should be. Our body knows exactly what our perfect weight should be. So it's not going to take somebody below that. So I had another lady, she lost 10 stone, 140 pounds with me. And she sent me a message to say, Christmas is coming. I'm a bit worried I'm going to overeat. Can we tighten the band? Can we tighten it? So I said, okay, then let's do that. Let's do that. Let's tighten it up. So in hypnosis, we're going to imagine tightening the band up. And she sent me a text message the next day. And she's like, how tight have you made this? Because I can hardly eat anything at all. How tight have you made this? But, you know, that's kind of an extreme kind of case. Most people, you know, they will go to losing 1 to 2 pounds a week. But the big thing is, what we're doing is creating a really quick win for somebody on the first session. Now, we know there's lots of other associations that we need to look at to bring about a long-term result. But by, you know, if we went out as hypnotists and said, you know, well, you know, what I can do is help you overcome any emotional, traumatic, you know, the weight is just a symptom of something else. You know, we can help you do all of that first. You know, we'll do that first. People won't come for that because they want to lose weight. So we've got to do that bit first. You know, so if we can create a really quick win on the very first session, then on the other sessions we can deal with everything else that comes up. You know, when we look at a client's eating habits, we're really looking at what are the patterns or trances we need to interrupt or replace with something more beneficial. Because, you know, a lot of the damage that we do eating wise is when we're eating in a trance.
Okay.
You know, when we're eating in front of the television, or we're eating while we're reading something, or we're doing something else, we're forming no conscious connection to what it is that we're doing. So sometimes we just need to be looking and highlighting, you know, what are the patterns and trances that we actually need to interrupt? What do we need to wake somebody up from? Because, you know, people say to me, oh, do you, you're the lady that hypnotizes people into a trance to get them to lose weight. And I turn around and say, I'm the lady who hypnotizes them out of the trance, you know, not in it, out of it. Because a lot of the time, you know, what we're wanting to do is kind of wake somebody up and put them on conscious alert of what it is that they're doing. And when we're consciously aware of it, we're much more able to do something about it than if we're just going with a regular pattern.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, you know, so the gastric band really, it's a 4-session program. You know, different things are done on different sessions, which are designed to bring about this kind of permanent change. And it's all really about making some small, realistic changes that somebody can actually live with. You know, if we have it so that, you know, we're making changes that somebody can only manage in a short time before they get fed up with it, they'll just go back to what they were doing before. So we've got to make some kind of small, realistic changes.
Yes, that's amazing. And Sheila, there are various reasons for gaining weight. Some might be gaining weight because of emotional eating. Some could have the reasons of some physical condition, could be some hormonal changes or etc. etc. So where does is it does a this gastric band practitioner make sure whom he or she is working, is the client educated well before what to expect, what one cannot expect?
Yeah, definitely. So, you know, any practitioner working with somebody should be, you know, kind of taking a full consultation from somebody to start with. I mean, I personally, I always do complimentary consultations. I know that some practitioners charge for those. I always just like the opportunity to talk to somebody, them to meet me to meet them, because then I can give a much more honest opinion to whether this is the right route for somebody or not. And if I don't think it is, then, you know, I can perhaps signpost somebody somewhere else. But yeah, I always find out, you know, are there any medications? What are the health issues? You know, because we've got to make changes that are realistic and also manage expectations. So, if somebody has, for example, a metabolic or a hormonal kind of issue, then the weight loss indeed may be slower. And, so if we're getting somebody to believe or think that, because don't get me wrong, we all want to wake up thin tomorrow,
Yeah.
I blame Amazon, to be honest with you, for instant results. My partner gets very depressed if Amazon aren't coming every day. Or, how many times do you order something on Amazon and you're so disappointed if it can't come straight away? And it's a bit like that with weight loss. We want to, it's been a journey to get to the size we are, but we're expecting it to kind of melt off tomorrow after doing something for a couple of days. But we do have to be aware of, are there other health issues at play that are going to impact how somebody can lose weight? I found that by getting the foundations right again, by doing the work on any triggers, associations, then, kind of in the vast majority of cases, people will feel a result. It would, and it's about changing how somebody thinks about food at the end of the day. Interestingly, I was doing a group session last night, and we were on the third session, and it was actually an in-person group session. And one of the ladies in the group said, what this really is all about how you think about it. And if we change how we think about stuff, then long term the result will be there. And that's really what this is about. It's about changing how somebody thinks about something. And if we change how we think, the outcome will be different.
That's beautiful. And Sheila, like the other hypnotherapy practitioners or anyone who wants to add this as one more service to be offered or a specialization. So what is your advice? How is it structured? How can one get trained in this protocol?
Yeah, so the training is available on my website, www.sheilagranger.com. Underneath, I think it says CPD courses or something like that. Or just simply drop me an email, or I'm happy to set up a Zoom with anybody. It's because I say I like meeting people anyway, and it's always good to chat. Regardless of whether people take the training or not. But yeah, it's all it's a full 2-day training.
Okay.
It's all available on video training. So what had happened was a while ago I delivered a 2-day seminar in Las Vegas that was filmed. So within that training you get a full training manual of how to run each session. But it's really what I'm teaching is a framework. There are scripts, of course. I've got to give people something to work with, but it's really to mix and match stuff to suit the person, to give the ideas of all the different aspects that you can mix the magic recipe, if you like. There's all the demos on there. So people can watch along with the demos. Some people even take part in it just to kind of, when I do the demos, like everybody's like, oh, I'll shut my eyes and shut my eyes and go for this as well. But yeah, it kind of goes through everything.
Okay. And like once this certification is completed, can someone straight away start practicing with the clients?
Yeah, kind of Monday morning. It's like, do the training at the weekend, you're all set for Monday morning.
Oh, wow.
To be able to kind of deliver straight away. It's a fairly simple process that we take somebody through.
Okay.
It's not complicated. So anybody who's trained in hypnosis will be able to pick it up and run with it straight away.
Oh, wow. That's so simple to be implemented straight away. Excellent.
And I'm I believe in supporting people in the long term. So if anybody takes the training, they're kind of under my wing forever, if you like. So a lot of the questions actually come whilst when somebody goes away and starts working with people.
Yes.
It's always the first time we come across some kind of issue. And, as I said before, I'm not the font of all knowledge, but I've worked with hundreds of people with this. So somebody probably isn't going to come across something that I've not already come across myself. So I make myself as available as possible. If people want Zoom calls or email support or anything really.
Oh, okay. Like you mean once the training is completed, the support is always there.
It's
Wow.
always there, always.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. So, I've been here 14 years so far, so I'm not planning on going anywhere.
And a few more questions around weight gain. What are as you have worked with so many people, hundreds of people across the world, what are the major reasons for a person gaining weight? There could be multiple reasons, but what are the set of reasons you have found, Sheila?
Yeah, so there's actually I've identified because I've got a book. In fact, I say I've got a book out, but I haven't actually got any copies of it. That's terrible, isn't it? I think I gave my last copy out yesterday. I must order some more. But what I've identified is kind of different, what I would describe as eating types.
Mhm.
And I'm just trying to pull up. I have got. Then I can share them on the screen. I think it kind of.
I can give the cohorts there. So that
Yeah. So just let me. If you can make me a co-host, then I can.
I did.
Oh, excellent. Yes, and I can just share my screen. Okay. So these are the different types of kind of reasons, I guess, why we put weight on.
Oh,
And people might be able to identify this with themselves. They might think, oh, I'm a bit of a mix of a few things here. So the first thing is like the busybodies of the world. So I can identify with being a busybody. We're kind of hectic. We run a busy lifestyle. We've got no time. Always on the run. For the next thing. Some of those people might be highly stressed as well. So, we're not kind of giving our body any downtime to, kind of eat properly. We're kind of just grabbing stuff as we go. So that's kind of one kind of type of person. We've then got people I describe as the comfort zoners. And a lot of my clients do fit into this bracket in that the people who they've got a nice lifestyle, they've reached a state in a life where, they've got a settled relationship, income isn't too much of an issue, they've not got any emotional issues, and they might already eat healthily, might be too much of it, but they already eat healthily. They'd like to lose weight, but it's not the end of the world if they don't, because everything else in their life's actually okay. So as a hypnotist, what we've got to look at is what their motivation for change is, because they may have a very low motivation for change because everything else in their life's okay. We've then got obviously where we've emotionally eaten. We've used it to soothe our soul in some way. And, the reality is, we're pushing down the emotions, and, can eat when you're happy, eat when you're sad, eat for every single emotion going, really. So, within the program, we do work to kind of look at that aspect of things. So we've then got, I don't know what it's like where you are, but we've then got our sedentary scoffers. So Very little movement all day long. And, the pandemic's been terrible for that. Especially, if you work at home all the time, we don't even have to leave the house. We're just on our computers all day. And I remember when I did go out the house to go to work, and, I walked the 3 steps out of my house, got into my car, drove to work, walked the 3 steps into my office and sat down all day, and the same in reverse. I had a very fit right ankle from the accelerator on my car. That was the only bit of fitness in the whole of my body, I think, the right ankle from the accelerator on the car. But we're probably doing a lot of transiting as well. We're eating while we're doing something else. We've then got our super snackers, who kind of just graze all day. I remember a lady in the office where I used to work, and don't get me wrong, a lot of it was healthy that she brought in. I brought these grapes in, I bought carrot sticks, I brought this, and it was just constant all day long. Constant. Although, some might think, well, I'm eating healthily, I can't understand it. But sooner or later, we are putting more in than our body needs. Sooner or later, we're doing it. We've then got our Supersize Me people, who just like big portions. And, if you've, brought a family up and, you've kind of been used to cooking larger amounts to feed all of your family, and then your children have left home and you're still cooking the same amounts. So, and again, it's just been a habitual thing that's formed over a period of time. And again, have you ever had the suggestion, don't you leave food on the plate? There's children dying, there's people starving, and you're leaving food on the plate. So we've been encouraged not to leave it as well. Or, sometimes I know, some certain religions, it's all about the food, and you feel obliged that, or you'd feel rude not to eat it. So, we do have to look at, again, what are the trances or patterns that we need to interrupt to get this person back onto the right track. I'll just stop my share, hoping that makes sense.
Wow. It touches very right button. Once, anyone who goes through this part of it, yeah, that's me, they can identify.
Exactly, like, that's me. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Or say, we might be a mix of a few of those, might be a little bit of each. But, when we can identify ourselves, okay, that's where the issue is. So a lot of people, they can be really good all day, oh yes, I eat healthily during the day, I don't eat very much. And then, it gets to an evening and we sit down, maybe have an evening meal, and then, it's kind of, oh, it's in the cupboards, not gonna have. And, it's not that we're hungry, is it? We've just eaten, but some other little alarm clock goes off in our head. And, kind of cravings and that kind of associations becomes very difficult to overcome. We kind of give into it all the time. So it's like almost being in a bad relationship, with somebody who's promising to make you feel better. Oh yes, I can make you feel better, I can make you feel better. But that they're not really rewarding with us with how we want to feel. It's not really rewarding us with wearing the clothes we want to wear, or feeling healthier, or feeling more confident. And, I find that although we know probably we should do things for health reasons, it doesn't tend to be the biggest motivator with people. It tends to be around confidence or clothes, and that sounds very superficial, but we all want to feel good, really. We want to feel good. And that often isn't linked to, we think, oh, well, maybe I should do that for health. But that doesn't tend to be the main motivator with people. we're only motivated when we've just had a heart attack. And then even then, that motivation will only last so long, because then it'll be, well, I've not had a heart attack for a while, so I'll be fine. So, it's about, it tends to be about confidence in other areas of our life, or being able to do the things that we want to do. Like I've got a grandson now, he is 3 years old. He's like a whirlwind. I understand now why you do have your children when you're younger. Because, after 2 hours of my grandson, I'm like, oh my goodness, I need to go and lay in a darkened room and pot a cold flannel on the top of my head. But, I want to be able to do all the things with him and have the energy to, kind of really enjoy that relationship. So we've all got a different why as well, why we want to do something. And the why for change, we've all got to have a why. If we don't, we've not got the real drive or motivation to do anything. But we've all got to have a why, and that why can change. So I'll share a little secret with you. So I've got a really weird autoimmune thing called myasthenia gravis, which most people have never heard of. It means grave muscle weakness. So any repetitive movements makes the muscles really weak after a period of time. So I get droopy eyelids, or my voice goes a bit funny, and sometimes can't walk very far. And most of the time it's very manageable. But sometimes you can go into something called a myasthenic crisis, which has happened to me a few times. And when it goes into a crisis, it affects your ability to breathe and swallow. So, because it's your diaphragm, it's not your lungs, it's kind of your diaphragm's weakened. So, one of these times it happened, and literally when it happens, I can't even stand up, I can't open my eyes. You end up in intensive care. It's not a very pleasant experience. But on one of these occasions, I'm in the hospital, and the physiotherapist said to me, we think you ought to lower your goals. Why don't you just aim to stand for 1 minute 1 month from now? I just thought, you've got to be kidding me. I'm busy. I've got things to do. I can't wait a month to stand 1 minute. We need to be getting moving. And that night, my grandson was about 18 months old then. My daughter had sent me a video, and on this video it was like, hi, hi, hi. And I played that video overnight. And the next day, the physio came again, and I said, today we are walking. And he said, I don't think that is going to be possible at all. Why don't we just go to 1 minute 1 month from now? I said, no, today we are walking. And I did. Now, don't get me wrong, I was a bit like a drunkard, like a bottle of wine or something, but I did it because I had a why I was doing something. And it's saying it can change, our why can change, but we've got to have it. Why we're going to do something, because otherwise we will just stay doing as we are. So which is why one of the very first questions I always ask a client is, why do you want to be slimmer? How's life going to be different? And and again, it's the same, but I guess with any hypnosis session, really. If somebody has anxiety, why do you want to be free of this anxiety? It's become like their friend, hasn't it? So, but why do you want to be free of it? How is life going to be different? What's something, is there something that you can't do now that you really would be able to do if you haven't got this?
Valid questions.
Mm, mm, mm.
Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing your story, how this beautiful protocol has evolved, making difference in individual lives, and also adding value to the therapists.
Mm.
And such a beautiful gift to the world, Sheila. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been nice talking to you.
And friends, whoever is interested in getting training, I'll be providing Sheila's training link also in the YouTube description as well as in the social media. So you can just click and straight away, explore further what are the various interests. If you want to reach out, like Sheila said, just want to set up a call or anything, just reach out. Thank you very much, Sheila, once again.
You're very welcome. Nice to
Thank
see you all.
you.
Bye bye.